Ladies and gentlemen, last time I created a video that told you just about everything you needed to know about the Beat Boss Bear game. Based on your comments and your feedback and your emails and all of those things, I realized that there's a few things that you need just a little bit more information about. So you can consider this the second Beat Boss Bear tutorial video. Now, the first thing I'm going to talk about is the bullets and making the bullet shoot. So, of course, you had to create a bullet sprite, and then you need to create a bullet object. Once you have your bullet object, then you are going to go ahead and create a new event inside a pack. Now remember, pack is the little circle Pac-Man looking playable character, weird smiley face looking guy. I'm going to call him Pack. You could have called him whatever you wanted, but I'm calling it OBJ Pack in this video. Now in OBJ Pack, you're going to need an event, a release space event. You want it to be release space so that when you let go of the space bar, a bullet actually comes out. If you just do a regular space event, all your bullets will show up at once, and that's not good. Now, if you remember from the instructions, I want you to limit the pack to only being able to shoot 3 bullets. In order to do that, you are going to need to use a test instance count action. Test instance count can be found inside of the control tab under the section that says questions. It is the blue circle. It's the blue circle with the 1, 2, 3 written under it. When you click on that, you click on its test instance count. It says it gives you 3 parameters to fill out. The first one is the name of the object. The name of the object in this case is OBJ bullet, or whatever you called your bullet. The number is 3. And the operation, actually, yes, the operation should be smaller than. So essentially, if the number of bullets is less than 3, is smaller than 3, then we'll be good. So then that is the first action. So you should have first action in your release space event. If you look at the drag and drop pane, it should say if the number of instances is a value, and you know that if you click on that, it'll say OBJ bullet is the object, the number is 3, and the operation is smaller than. Then you want to create a moving instance. Now, there are 2 ways you can go about creating your bullets. You are going to have your create moving instance of OBJ bullets. And in here, you're going to have some parameters. The first thing should be object, and the object is bullet. Now, one way you can do this is that you can set the X and Y to 0. If you set the X and Y to 0, make sure the box at the bottom that says relative is checked. If the box that says relative is checked, then putting it as X and Y as 0 will work. Basically, by doing it that way, it'll make it relative to the pack's location. That way, the bullets will come out of the pack and not out of the upper left-hand corner at the random. And then set your speed to whatever you want. I would suggest something in the neighborhood of 10 to 15, because you want your bullets to be faster than your pack. And the direction. In the section that says direction, you're going to put the word direction. And by doing that, it'll tell the game that the direction your bullet should be coming is the same direction your pack should be coming. So, to sum all of that up, in order to create a bullet that moves and shoots from the pack, first you have your test instance count, and your test instance count is going to say if the number of object, the object is obj bullet, the object is obj bullet in the test instance count. So again, what you are going to do, I'm going to start this over so that it makes more sense. In order to create the moving object, the bullet, you are going to have a release space event. In this release space event, you are going to have a test instance count action. You are going to say for your parameters of that test instance count, the object is obj bullet, the number is 3, and the operation is smaller than. After that, you are going to have a create moving instance action. The parameters for that are as follows. The object is obj bullets, the x and y are both 0, the speed is at least 10. It should be at least double whatever your pack is, and the direction is direction. And you also have to make sure that the relative box is checked. That will get you having a bullet shooting from the pack in the direction the pack is moving. Next, there is a couple of questions about the wall. Making the wall destroy or be destroyed when there are no more ghosts. So what you're going to do, and there's a bunch of ways you can do this, but the easiest way to do this is to create a step event inside of obj wall. And in this step event, you are going to use another test instance count, and this time the parameters of that test instance count should say the object is obj ghost, the number is 0, and the operation is equal to, meaning if the number of ghosts is equal to 0. And then you're simply going to just use a destroy the instance action after that. And just make sure that in the destroy instance, it applies to self. So once again, making the wall be destroyed when there's no more ghosts is pretty simple. Pretty much you have a step event, and because it's a step event, it's always checking to make sure that there is still ghost on the screen to make sure the bullet is still there. So basically you have your step event. In the step event, you have a test instance count, and the test instance count should have as its parameters the object being obj ghost, the number being 0, and the operation being equal to. So if the number of ghosts is equal to 0, then you're going to destroy the instance. And under the destroy the instance action, make sure you have checked self, so that you're basically saying when there are no more ghosts, destroy the wall. And the way it works, because you've done it that way, all of the walls will disappear. And finally, to all of the mechanics for the bear. The first thing you're going to do inside of your OBJ bear is create a game start event. In your game start event, you are going to set your lives or your health, whichever one you end up using. You're going to set it to 10. I'm going to use health as I go through this video, but lives works the same way. So you set the health to 10. Next, you're going to have a collision with OBJ bullets event. In that event, you're going to have two things. First, you are going to have, as your action, you are going to have set the health to -1. Now, you need to make sure the box that says relative is checked. That way, the health will be decreased by 1. If you don't do that, then what happens is your health automatically becomes -1. And that makes no sense because, you can't have negative health. So you make sure, so you set your value, which is going to be -1, and then you check the box that says relative. Also, you destroy the bullet, but you knew that already. So you set the health relative to -10. And now for this last part, to check the bear's health, there's a bunch of ways you can do this. In order to make it easier for you when you get to part 2, I'm going to suggest that you do this in a separate step event. So you're going to have a step event, and that step event is going to use, the first thing it's going to use a test health action. The test health action is underscore. And again, remember, if you use lives, you're going to use test lives. Test health, test lives, whichever one corresponds to the one you use. So then what you're going to do is say, if health is equal to 0, then end the game. Because when the health is equal to 0, the game is over. So again, you should have 2 action blocks, one that says if health is equal to 0, and then the next block should say end the game. If you want to display a message also, then what you need to do is say if health is equal to 0, then use the open triangle, excuse me, use the open triangle, then say display a message, then say end the game, and then close the block. Because otherwise, what it's going to do is just simply end the game. Because the moment if you don't have it inside the blocks, the moment the game begins, a step event is going to trigger and end it. So the moment it begins, it ends, unless you use the start block and end block, which are in control. It's the up triangle and the down triangle that's in other. They correspond in GML to the open bracket and the closing bracket. And whatever you do, it must be within those 2 start block and end block. So essentially what your program should say in this step event is this. If health is equal to 0, and then under that you should see start of a block, display a message, end the game, end of block. That is what it should look like. If you don't have it exactly like that, then the game will end the instant it begins. And that is obviously not what you want to do. So, in conclusion, to sum up everything, to make your bullet shoot, inside your OBJ pack object, you are going to create a release space event. In that release space event, you're going to have 2 action blocks. The first one is a test instance count. And this test instance count should have as its parameters, the object is OBJ bullets, the number is 3, and the operation is smaller than. Under that, you should have create moving instance of OBJ shot. Or OBJ bullet, I should say. Your object is OBJ bullets, your X is 0, your Y is 0. Your speed is at double the speed of pack, so at least 10. The direction is the word direction, and the box next to relative must be checked. You must check the relative box. That is how you make the bullet shoot. In order to destroy the walls, inside of OBJ wall, you will have a step event. In the step event, you're going to have 2 action blocks. The first action block is a test instance count. This test instance count has the following as its parameters. The object is OBJ ghost, the number is 0, and the operation is equal to. So essentially what it reads as, if the number of ghosts is equal to 0, then the second action block is destroy the instance, and that parameter, it should say, applies to self. So if the number of instances of ghosts is equal to 0, destroy the wall. Finally, the bear. When you, in a game start event, you are going to set the bear's health to 10. You can use lives, you can use health, either way you're going to set it to 10. In a collision with the OBJ bullets, you are going to set the health relative to -1. So that means the parameter where it says value should say -1, and the box that says relative must be checked again. And then finally, in a step event, you should have the following. You should have a test health block, or test lives, whichever way you did it. You should have a test health block that says if health is equal to 0, so your parameters, the value is 0, the operation is equal to. Then you are going to have the start of a block, the up triangle, or the up arrow. You're going to have your display a message that says, hey, you win, or something like that. You're going to have an in the game block, and then you're going to have the down triangle or the down arrow that says end of a block. You must have both the display the message and the end the game within the two triangles, because if you don't, the game is just going to end the moment you start it. So that is why that happens. So, and that's not what you want. So that is how you get the bear to work. That is how you get the bear to lose health. And that is how you get the bear eventually to be destroyed and the game to end. I hope this helps. I hope this helps a lot. This seemed to be the things that people had the questions about. So that is why I created this video, to answer them.